What's going on, family? This is the Get the Bag podcast. I'm your host, Gladia Castro. Got my co host, Tim Park.
Hey fam.
Really happy to see you guys. I'm back in LA, getting back into the routine from just being on out in Florida, beat the hurricane.
Yes.
That was a little
Thank
crazy. Although
goodness.
it is going to miss Miami, but still like the storms and everything in its effect. But real happy to be back home and just again getting back in the swing of things. But this episode's really, I'm really looking forward to it. But before we kind of dig into it, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, uh, follow us on Instagram. Um, yeah, this episode's a little bit different. We don't necessarily have a specific topic. It's more of like a check-in, real estate update on, how we're doing in our business, what kind of things we're working on, what kind of things maybe we're struggling with.
Hmm.
Because it's not all roses at all. We go through these growing pains as we're trying to navigate through the real estate, through the ups and downs of having a real estate business. So, um, you know, just to show you guys that you're not alone, that if you think like, hey, I'm struggling with this or I'm dealing with
Hmm.
this issue, that's not the case. It's we're all dealing with it together. It just could be different ways. So we're going to uncover that for the next 30 minutes. So hope you guys enjoy that. But we'd love to, you guys in the chat or anybody want to reach back out to us on things that you're struggling with and how we can best help you.
Yeah, I mean, uh, I love this topic just because it's a check-in closer to the end of the year. I mean, we just
Hmm.
ended summer, maybe soon, so it's
Not
a
yet out here though.
yeah,
It's so
yeah,
hot.
it's still hot, right? So we still got a little heat wave this week, but it's just a check-in with the business and kind of seeing what deals we have going on right now, what deals um, we're going to close, or what deals have fallen through, and just kind of examine some of those. And then I know 30 minutes is going to go pretty quick on this, but hopefully this gives you some value and some takeaways for your business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the way we can break it down is maybe some things that have been going really well in our business, or where some changes we've made this last quarter, or as like you said, we're approaching out now that we're almost pretty much in October. Well, we have like what, 3 months left?
Yeah, 3 months
November, just
left. Yeah.
no, 2 months, some 2, 3 months
Yeah.
left in the year. And this is usually the time where real estate does slow down typically, like, after Thanksgiving going into December. Not to say you can't get deals, but we've learned from our past too, is like a lot of times if when things slow down, like we want to slow down a little bit,
Right.
but that's usually the time where you want to get things ready to go. So come January 1st, you're going. So what are some things that have worked out for you really well this last quarter, Tim, and or like that that you would want to share, or maybe something that you've done differently
Mhm.
that's like helped or propelled you to the position you're in right now?
I think, one of the most important things I did was I really dived deep into the networking part of my business,
Mm,
and that's kinda really helped me with getting deals, sent to me for inbound leads. I think that was one of my goals in the beginning of the year, to have more inbound leads instead of outbound, calling, cold calling, at least for my wholesaling side of the business. And that's kind of, seen the results. I've seen success with that, with, different JV partners approaching me,
mhm,
calling me about, different deals, or telling other people about deals, or brokers approaching me about off market deals. So the deal flow from inbound has been really good on my end. So
mhm,
I've seen a lot of success with that. So just putting in the work of telling people what I do, reaching out to different brokers, or calling on properties that maybe have expired or something like that, that, as the market has changed,
mhm.
different strategies could help you aside from what you're currently doing in your business. So take some time to implement the strategies that you're thinking of, and, sometimes we get boggled on in the process that we've implemented, but it's always good to add something else to the mix to kinda mix it up
Yeah.
and then see if that works as well too.
That's awesome. I think, yeah, networking is also has also been my focus, as well because, and it's funny, I actually a couple weeks ago, I connected with, this woman who's been in commercial real estate for like 20 plus years. I think I was telling you, Tim,
Mhm,
and I was kind of constantly following up with her. But what really resonated with me is like she's a woman of color, and she's used her experience in real estate to do do good. Like
mhm.
basically give back to the neighbor to her community,
That's awesome.
um, and doing it with real estate. And that's kind of what you don't have to be like. Money comes with real estate as it
Yeah.
is, and like people think like, oh, you change being in this position,
Mhm.
or make when you start making that much money, but like that's how you can really money can really make or can change what you do, like the things that you do. You can really make a change with your experience, and it was really really cool to like kind of hear what she's doing, and I don't know, it kind of gave me a glimpse. And one of the things she said, because she says she has kids, is like, if it's anything I've taught my daughters, it's to network. It doesn't
Mm.
matter what you learn, you have to network. That's the only way that's gonna take you to the next level. And so, I mean, we've been talking about this, like, you've been doing it, Tim,
Mhm.
I've been doing it, but, like, hear it from somebody who's, been in the game for a while and has found success, and seeing the work that she's doing was like, "Okay, well, if you kind of start with, giving value, how can I add value to this person?
Right.
Somehow the opportunities find itself instead of forcing it." And so I
Mhm.
think people just try to force it. And so that's kind of like been my focus too. It's just like focusing on how I can help people, what kind of opportunities I can give to other people that come my
Right.
way.
Yeah, one of the stories I had was that, before I got into real estate, I, I had my own business and then, that had failed and I was gonna try to start another business while I was in a full-time job, and I was just looking for answers, on my next move and, kinda my back was against the wall and I didn't know where to go, so I turned to real estate. But
Hmm.
during that time, I had met somebody, and I went through another training course for another business, and, we kept in touch. And so we follow each other on Instagram, and so she actually reached out to me recently,
Hmm.
and, told me, like, a family member is looking to sell their house, and the reason why I called you is because, I know you're this in this industry, and, your post kept me, uh kept your name in front of me, all the
Hmm.
time, so you're the first one that I thought of when they wanted to sell their house, and they wanted to sell their house to, like, all cash person, they didn't wanna go through a
Hmm.
realtor and stuff, so it's just, that was part of the inbound, um, marketing that I was doing is just putting more content out there as well and, networking and stuff, and, we hadn't seen each other in a few years, but, just, putting out content and telling people what you do is important as
Hmm.
well too, so,
Right.
not always, face-to-face networking, if you go to network events, maybe online networking works as well too, just, putting content and being relevant, to what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also been a thing. And I kind of lost some steam midway in terms of like doing a ton of content because it is hard,
Yeah, it is.
um, kind of organizing time to do it. But I think just finding something that works, like you don't have to overthink it, as long as the content you're putting out there like adds value. But I mean, I found like, Twitter, um, LinkedIn are really great tools too. And I've been talking about this even on my social media or,
Mhm.
my IG or the reels that
Yeah.
I post is how simple it is. Like, again, we try to overcomplicate it, think we have to go to events or see this person in person, but it's really not the case. And I found too where it's like, hey, if I can put myself out there, introduce myself respectfully, and see how I can help them. There, people are always really receptive. So
Right.
I think we've talked about it enough in terms of like what you can do with networking or how networking can help, and it's kind of helped you trickle into the deals that you're working on now. Obviously, you have the commercial side
Mhm.
that you're doing, and then you have the you're still working the residential as well. But
Mhm.
talk about maybe on the residential side, um, like kind of how this networking is, like what kind of deals you're kind of working with at the moment.
Yeah, so, I know that a lot of it is people reaching out. One, or a lot of people are reaching out on, like, how they can get started in real estate, so that's
Hmm.
one side of it. Another side
Right.
of it is that, they have deals, and so they'll shoot me a deal. I'll see if it's actually a deal, and then maybe we can JV on the deal. Some deals aren't deals, so,
Right.
those are, uh, I'll look into it. I'll say, this isn't a deal, or I'll say, I do have a buyer for this, and then see what the buyer says. And then usually I advise them, hey, this is locked up too high. So on most of the cases, that's been, the majority of it has been locking it up too high. So on those, but um, it has just increased my inbound sales. I haven't done a deal, just to be completely honest with everybody, is with people that have reached out for JV. I know within the U group, I've JV'd a lot. Um,
Hmm.
so the other thing is that if you do get into real estate, we highly recommend getting a mentor. That's really important
Yeah.
because it builds community, and that community will help each other. And
Right.
that's majority of how my JV deals have gone.
Hmm.
Right now, I've been working on this one deal for a long time, and finally it's getting some traction, and it's a probate deal out here in East LA.
Hmm.
So there was a situation where one of the our U members, Charged Up U family, shout out,
Shout
uh,
out.
and reached out. He said he locked up a deal. I was like, I looked at it. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like he locked it up super low, and but it was a probate deal, so all
Hmm.
the family members had passed away except for the last member who he had locked the deal up with,
Hmm.
and so we went through actually four, no, three different probate attorneys because this guy is a little bit difficult
Hmm.
to I guess, talk to sometimes just because he's
Right.
long-winded. He's like 90 years old, but we've been really patient with him and, trying to find him probate attorneys. Finally, a long story short, he was able to get a probate attorney that he likes, and they actually filed all the paperwork for that. So now we have an idea of when we're going to close on it. So it's going to be
Hmm.
like 60 days from um, the beginning of, I think it was the beginning of this month. So
Hmm.
um, we're pretty excited about that just because it's been several months since this process has started, but now
Right.
we have like we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel on it. And I had three buyers lined up for it because it's such a good deal,
Right.
and so they've been asking for updates, so I just been updating them, and so we're hoping to close before Christmas time. So
That'd
so
be a good time to
yeah,
get
holiday
get the
bonus right
check.
there. Yeah, so it's gonna be a big one too. So
Right.
we're working with the seller on it, and just making sure because the buyers are really amped to get this one.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, I remember when we, kinda came in and you were kinda talking about it, and with probate, it kinda varies, it
Yeah.
usually is a long-term process, but I think what we talked about in the past with like probates or anything, is once you're in it, you get to learn the process, like
Mhm.
learn like, okay, now I know an attorney who I can go to, or
Mhm.
so it's, you learn a lot out of that, which is really, really cool. And I think again, all the networking that you've done, is the deals that you're doing now are, you know, coming to a close. It's
Yeah.
that's what happens when you're persistent with it. It's like solving problems. You just said you went through four attorneys. Like that's that's
Yeah.
pretty common. Sometimes, but sometimes it's straightforward, sometimes it's not, like especially because you're dealing with a seller maybe who's a little bit more difficult, so you have to really just be there and be available to solve problems.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. I mean, that's the epitome of like not giving up, because maybe some people would be
Yeah.
like, okay, after the second attorney, after the third, like, okay, geez, this is just not it. But when your head is, your back is against the wall, that's when you should keep pushing. So that's huge. That's really huge. I mean, on my end, I'm still dealing with a really long term follow up to the deal I got locked up. That's like one hoop after the next. It's
Mhm.
just constant. Even for me, um, I had like up until the last, I think I want to say June, right before I moved, I was like on a roll. Like almost
Mhm.
every month, I had closed a deal. It was like super small, out in California, and then I think some in Tennessee. And I think this is also the real thing too.
Yeah.
Is things happen. Like, I moved, and I just don't have a team. And not, I don't want to use it as an excuse. I think it made me look at like the systems that I have, but um, things fall through the cracks. And so I'm like following up with leads, and then also like following up with your deals as well, like things sort of in like losing momentum. That's always the hardest thing, because once you've lost a
Yeah.
little bit of momentum, it's hard to pick it back up. Not that
Right.
it's hard, like you can, but like you have to like start over again in a
Right.
sense. So I was kind of at that stage of things have been, kind of start off with a bang, and then it's like things just happen in life, and that's just how life is. Like
Mhm.
people go through stuff every day, and so it's like, how are you going to, get over the hump, or how are you going to step up when things get rough? Because
Mhm.
it's not going to be the last time. So you just have to keep pushing. And so for me, it was like just going back to the basics was really my thing. And even now, still going through, personal stuff that comes up in your
Yeah.
life. But it's like you have to be consistent with your process, consistent with um, what you have going on. And so for me, this one deal I locked up in right before I moved, and it's just been like one I've just continued to follow up. And there's other leads that have come up since then where I've, locked
Right.
up, or I've either canceled for whatever reason. But this is one where it's like so many facets going on, where it's like foreclosure, it's a divorce lead,
Mhm.
um, and it's just a single mother with her four kids trying to get away from her ex-husband, who was, going, just not, there's just what the relationship just wasn't working out. And so it got like really serious where she had to get an attorney. And so we're having to navigate through that, because we're trying to agree on like what she wanted to do, in terms of maybe doing a sub two so we can save her from foreclosure and help her credit.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, like wholesaling, like you're solving problems. That's like
100%.
that's your if you're not running into problems, which, some deals it's straightforward and it's awesome, but for the most part you're solving problems, so you really have to think outside the box when it comes to these situations. Like it's nothing's ever going to be straightforward, so you learn a lot about how you can handle it. And of course, once a deal is done, you can look back and be like, okay, what could I have done differently? And that's a few things, right, we've talked about, Tim.
Mhm.
um, but it's just, not being so hard on yourself, because I think, as sometimes we're on like that too. Like, I mean, you talked about like, it's probably been hard up to this point. Like you see the fruits of your labor coming, but it's like,
Yeah.
all right, that check would be nice right about
I
now.
know.
Or
Exactly.
so it's like you really have to have that confidence in yourself, that faith in yourself that's gonna work out. Like, how'd you deal with that, like, mentally, like, kinda going through that, knowing, like, "Okay, I see the end of the tunnel."
Yeah, I think it's hard just because I know that, I kinda was concentrating on a lotta influx of deals during the summer on the commercial side,
Mhm,
and, that's why I wanted to build a lotta inbound, of on my wholesaling side, the residential side. So, when I wasn't cold calling, because I don't have a cold caller or a VA right now,
mhm,
so, um I wanted to maybe partner up with other people so they can call on my list and we could JV. So some of that was my strategy, but the other strategy was, okay, let me get some inbound. And
mhm,
that also takes time, right? So just making sure that that is my strategy and my goal, and just putting effort into that, but
mhm,
also putting effort into the commercial side, and being on the phone all the time, and contacting these investors or brokers, or talking about the deal, negotiating on the deal, because some of these commercial deals take a lot longer than residential deals,
right,
because a lot more factors that go into it, and I guess that's why a lot of people maybe shy away from commercial, just because it's a longer play.
you're
um,
right,
some deals are really short, easy, but when they're long, they're, like, long, like, they could
yeah,
take a couple years, but, we're talking, hundreds of millions of dollars, at that point when you're talking about a year-long deal, so,
right,
but, I think the mental aspect is very important because, you know, there like you said, there's gonna be highs and lows, and, there has been lows, but I think I've been ingrained, especially in the U, and, the church sessions, and
yeah,
in our Zooms there.
right,
It's really motivating, but also it's just like, you just gotta keep going. You can't let, you know, what you're doing stop you, or not getting, a closed deal stop you, a deal fall through stop you. You just gotta
yeah,
keep plugging away. And, yeah, the times may be low and there's no, light at the end of the tunnel, but you gotta believe in yourself, believe in the process, and it's gonna happen. It will happen,
yeah,
so and then
that's real, that's a bar.
yeah, yeah, and, surround yourself with a community, because they're going through the same thing, or they've been through the same thing, so they understand, and people that aren't in the industry that you're maybe conveying this may not understand, and maybe give you some wrong advice on,
Mhm.
maybe this is not for you, and that's not what you wanna hear. You wanna hear, "Keep on going, and you can do it," right?
Or someone saying, "Yeah, I'm dealing with it too," and so
Yep.
you're not alone. I think it's healthy to talk about it, like, and I see a few comments here. Corey, we'll answer your question towards the end. But I mean, been in the same place. Actually, been losing mostly this year, and it's like we've all gone through us. If you're not going through the struggle, like, what is there to
Mhm.
share about? Like,
Yeah.
and
It's not all funs and roses. I mean, like,
yeah, but imagine, like,
it's
once
like
you've gotten across it, and then you're like, wow, like, I went through all of that.
yeah, I know,
What's up,
right?
Bam?
Like
I was wondering, like, "Oh, the giving flowers, I like that." I'm like, but I saw the waves, not gonna lie, Bam. I saw the waves, like, that has to be Bam. I saw the picture. I was like, "That
bam,
has to
hey,
be
giving
Bam."
love, bam.
Yeah, I appreciate the love, bro. Um, but man, life is tough, and you need people around you. You need to talk about it. And I think that's also the problem too. People,
Yeah, keep it inside.
just people keep it inside or think they have to deal with it themselves. And I've been definitely someone like that
I
in
have
the
to.
past, and I just know that we're in this together. And when you know that somebody else is also sharing the same issues that you have, then that's huge.
Yeah.
So, in terms of like the, business update, I think it's also mentally like
Mhm.
prepping yourself. networking with people that, maybe you want to strive for, you want to like work with them, but things get tough. And just know that it's not always going to be like this. Like you have to go through your tough times. It's just part of the process. You just kind
Yeah.
of embrace it and go through it. Like I was feeling like that, even like, coming back from my trip and everything, I was almost feeling like that too. Like sometimes you have those inner voices, or you want to talk to yourself, and not being really nice, and you have to like catch yourself, like, all right, hold up, it's like that's enough. And just kind of talk yourself out of that, of like it's gonna be okay. Like
Right.
you're good. Um, so, I think it's important to just mainly talk about it. Talk about your problems, talk about the deals you're doing, talk about the deals that you're struggling with, talk about,
Mhm.
I'm not doing any deals, like how can I get better?
Right.
Yeah, and I love this. It's just part of our journey, and it's just
Yeah.
focus
Part
on
of the
your
journey.
journey. Don't focus.
Yeah.
I'm not focusing on Tim's journey. Like we can, share with each other what we're doing, but like Tim's journey isn't my journey. Like,
Mhm.
and my journey isn't Tim's journey. So, um, you know, put your name on there, my journey, and that's that. Focus on you. And that's all you
Yeah.
can do.
And no matter what you go through, I mean, whether it's life things or business things, I mean, you'll get through it. I mean, you will. I mean, you have to take the time to gather yourself, because when you get knocked down, sometimes you don't pop right back up, right?
Right.
You got hit hard and you're slow to get up. You're a little woozy, but eventually the important thing is you get up,
Right.
and you take another step forward. So
Yeah.
I think,
This business isn't for the faintest. Like, I
no,
think that's why people quit, because it gets so hard. I mean, I love this, only L we take our lessons.
yeah,
I
I
love
love
that
that. Yeah, that's a
because,
bar right there.
yeah, because I mean, again, we're super hard on ourselves, but, um, it's just like, it's just part of life. Like, things happen all the time. And I remember, I think Chris said one time, like, he knew somebody who was going through a really tough time in their lives. And then, he was looking up, he's like, the world is still going. Like nobody's going to
Mhm.
stop because you went through this situation, or because it's hard. People are still going. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter what, so all you can do is just keep going,
yeah.
and not give up. And whether you've closed plenty of deals, or you're just getting your first deal, or you haven't gotten a deal yet, or you're maybe going through a drought,
Mhm.
just know is just keep going. We've been already in this business, what, 2 years now
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
And it's definitely tough. It's really tough. It gets you down. It has you thinking things that probably you shouldn't be, of like, man, why am I in this? What was I thinking? But when you start thinking about that, that's when you know you're in the right place, because something good is about to happen. So um, I love this kind of like positive talk.
Yeah, I do
It's kind of
too.
nice.
I do. It's, therapeutic for sure for the business, just kinda getting off your chest because really you don't I know we talk all the time and,
Right.
we're talking about deals and we're talking about our situations and stuff. So, I suggest you have someone that you can talk to or a group of people that you can talk to about, um, your ups and downs and your wins and your losses, and it just helps you get through the day, the week, the month, the year, really. So,
Yeah.
I think it's super important.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Bam knows what's up.
I know.
Like sacrificing to invest in the business. That's right. I mean,
Yep.
life is short for sure. You want to enjoy your time with the family, but you at the same time, um, you have to stay focused. And it's awesome that the family, all the kids are on the same page in terms of that. Um, that's all you can ever ask for.
Yeah.
Um, Now I know we're at the 30-minute mark, which is just like that, just
I
kind of
know.
went through. But I mean, you guys got a glimpse in terms of like what we're working on, what we've struggled with. I think that's the main thing that we talked about, which
Mhm.
I think is really good, because I think a lot of people are going through the same going through the same flows as we have of struggles, but just know that, just keep pushing, keep being consistent. That's always the hardest part. Success is doing the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think I saw a quote like that and I was like, oh yeah. So be consistent, whatever your process is. Like if it's, networking, if it's inbound, whatever, like find your niche like we talked about last week and be consistent with that.
Yeah.
And the rest, will follow. I always thought like if I can come in with like value or know that I'm giving,
Mhm.
somehow I know I'm gonna be okay. Like something's gonna always work out, even though at the time it probably doesn't feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100%. I mean, just to be honest with everybody, it's just like I've I've have more deals fall through than I've done deals this year. So,
Right,
like, but that's me putting offers out there. That's me, learning from those failures. That's me, it's like, what can I change my process? But uh, half of those deals have been commercial deals, right?
right,
So it's a little bit different from last year, where all my deals, maybe except one, was a commercial. Was a commercial deal. One was a commercial deal, and the rest were residential. So it's
right.
just, just stick with it. I mean, I could have, like the last 5, I could have been like, "Man, this sucks. I'm not gonna continue this," or whatever, and you can give up, but that's not my mentality, you know?
But
We're
you also see like the opportunity out too,
absolutely,
and like
absolutely.
there's always going to be another one.
Mhm.
That's the main thing that I've learned is like make as many offers. You want to get as many no's. Like it doesn't hurt. Like or even if something is canceled, it's like, hey, I know I tried, or it's out of my hands, or I know I did the best I could.
Absolutely.
So I mean, Bam's with you too.
Yep, yep. He knows what it is.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, that's rough,
it's
24
just part
hours
of the
before
game. Yeah,
closing.
24.
Whoa.
I wasn't gonna like brush that, but like it
That was not.
happens.
Yeah, it happens, like, I mean, that's real, like, things like that do happen, so
Yeah. So you gotta just keep going. I did want to go back. I think
the yeah, I had to
L'Oreal,
it's like
L'Oreal had a question. Um, I hope they're still on here, but I'm dealing with a married couple and the wife wants to sell the house, but hasn't talked to the husband in 3 months. Do I need both signatures on the purchase agreement? It depends on who's on the deed. Although if
yeah.
it's going through a divorce, like sometimes they have to hold off on selling the property. But I still think you can get it under contract, I believe. But
Mhm,
you want to check the county deed. You have to see if sometimes it's just the wife's name,
mhm.
sometimes it's just the husband's name. If it's both, yes, you do need both of their signatures. But in terms of selling, you'd have to maybe check with their attorney, or if they're going through it doesn't seem like they're going through a divorce just yet. It looks like they're still married, but she just
Yeah,
hasn't talked to him. So you will have to find if he's on the deed, you'll have to find a way to talk to him, get him to sign the agreement. So um, yeah,
yeah,
that's what I would recommend.
yeah, and just make sure that she's on the deed too, because sometimes
Right.
married couples, like, the either the wife or the husband are the only ones on the deed because they bought it before marriage, and they didn't change
Mm,
the title, after marriage, so or they
right.
didn't put it into a trust or whatever the case may be, so it's important to check, whose name is on there, like Gladia said, so
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, yeah, Bam, you got this. It's talking about a 60K assignment. Um, that was a heartache. Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
can imagine. Can imagine. But
yeah.
yeah, you got a 100K, a six-figure deal just around the corner. So
I know you
um,
do.
got this. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was a very vulnerable episode, which I really like. Us
Yeah,
keeping it real, but also seeing the opportunities that are coming up our way. Because I think that resonates more with people who are just kind of going through the flows, like we said, and things get rough. Things get
mhm,
really rough, and
mhm,
so it's good to kind of do a check in on on where we're at, what we're doing, and how we're persevering through these problems because it gets real. So,
Yep.
feel free to reach out to us at any point. But love
Always.
all the comments and the engagement. Really appreciate you guys tuning in again. But catch us next week, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Uh, Hopefully, we're trying to get some guests for the
Yeah,
next couple
definitely.
months.
Yep. Yep.
So definitely tune in for that. But enjoy the rest of your week. We'll chop it up with you guys next week and talk to you guys later.
All right.
Peace.
See you guys.